Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of the Inclusive Networker podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ramona, and who am I calling into conversation today? Well, it is Adam House. I'm so excited to have Adam today. Let me tell you a little bit about Adam, and then I will let him jump in. Adam House is a public speaker. He is a thought leader. He is a serial entrepreneur, a business executive, former professional athlete, and an executive coach. His background offers huge insights into the world of business, professional sports, and leadership. Through various ventures, Adam has demonstrated the ability to navigate diverse industries, providing listeners with real-world actionable strategies for success. Beyond his entrepreneurial success, Adam is driven by a set of core values, including faith, family, and personal life. Adam, I love that. These principles guide his approach to business and leadership. His blend of professional life and deeply held values creates an inspiring story. So, as a coach, Adam succeeds in addressing the everyday challenges that businesses come across, and he brings a huge amount of experience to the table. His coaching philosophy is rooted in a commitment to long-term success, emphasizing the importance of building a strong foundation without shortcuts. So, Adam, welcome to the Inclusive Networker podcast. I'm so happy to have you today.
Well, it's great to be here. And after an introduction like that, I don't know if I even need to say anything. So you made me feel really good. So I know it sounds like a lot of success, but the lens that I really look at life through is success is really achieved by failing over and over again and never giving up. So all of those highlights sound great, but they're filled with peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that's so relatable, and that's something that we all deal with. And so as you were talking about your lens and the different things that shaped who you are, tell us a little bit more about your lens. How did you get here, and how do you kind of see the world?
Well, it depends on the day and what my wife tells me how I see the world. So it's really recognizing what season you're in. So there really isn't a boilerplate way to look at business or life or faith or family. It's really that self-awareness of what season am I in? What do I want to accomplish? What do I need to do to get there? And am I up for it? And so, right now I've had success as an entrepreneur, but I'm also advising other entrepreneurs. And there really isn't A plus B equals C answer. It's more of a self-discovery process, again, of where you are and what you want to do, and then understanding the cost that it's going to take on you personally and your business and your family in order to achieve those goals. And once you have that awareness, then you have clarity on what you need to do to get there.
Wow. I mean, I got so many nuggets just out of that piece. So when we think about the season that we're in, and I love that you said that there is no cookie cutter answer, because our lens does change. And that's such an amazing point to bring out, is that we have to kind of flow with the season, right? And then you said count the cost. And I think that's so important, is that yes, our seasons change, and there's different things that we need to do at a certain time, but we also need to count the cost and know exactly, not exactly where we're going, but what we're doing and how much it's going to cost to make sure that we're prepared for the next season. So love that.
Absolutely. And it's not just financial cost, right? I mentioned there's collateral damage. In every gain, there's a loss. And so as you're gaining in your business, it can affect you personally, it can affect your family. And again, it's not that those things are bad things, it's just the self-awareness of that actual cost to achieve what you want.
Yeah. So now we're talking about wins and losses. And I know last week my guest had gone to the Super Bowl. So we talked a little bit about football and all of the cool things that she did. And you were a professional basketball player. And so I'm back into the sports folks this week. And so that's exciting. And so tell me a little bit about you as a former basketball player and how your experience kind of just influenced your approach to leadership and then in teamwork, right? Because you had to be a part of a team as a professional basketball player. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my path to becoming a professional basketball player was really backwards to what most people do. So I
Okay.
grew up obviously in the Detroit area playing basketball, played in high school, a year of college. Then I dropped out of college and
Mm.
decided to start my own business out of my apartment. I started with a couple $100, turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. I sold that, started another company, sold that. And then after that company, at the age of 32, I had had a lot of success in business, but I still had this love and passion for the game of basketball.
Mm.
And I told you, my wife tells me what lens I'm looking at life through. Well, she gave me the go ahead to pursue a dream of becoming a professional basketball player. So I was
Wow.
actually 32 years old, hadn't played in a decade organized basketball, trained for 6 months, and then ended up getting invited to a combine in Dayton, Ohio, and ended up making the Rochester, New York Razor Shark basketball team. So I was 32 years old when that happened. And you asked what I learned through sports,
Mm-hmm.
and I relate sports and business as a very close parallel, because you got to have passion, you have competition, you have to build a team, you have to recognize the strengths of your team and your own strengths, and how do you
Mm-hmm.
get that music to play well together? Because you can have a lot of talent. We've seen it in the NBA. They put these dream teams together and they still don't win because they don't have the chemistry as a team,
Mm-hmm.
and then oftentimes the right coaching that can
Yeah.
get them all to fit together and work together.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because my son loves basketball, and so he's always looking at YouTube, and he's looking at all of these different professional teams, and he thinks that basketball is what I call showboating, Adam.
Mhm.
So showboating, is doing fancy things after you either make a touchdown or make a basket, you're doing some kind of dance. And I always tell him, no, you got to build the foundation. You've got to build the fundamentals. You got to do that shot so many times in practice that when you get out on the field or out on the court, that it is just going to, it feels more natural and it happens more often. And so I think that's so true of business as well, right? Is that we try to do all these fancy things. We're not really setting the foundation and learning the fundamentals and all of the things that we need to do. We're not being consistent and doing the same thing over and over and over until we get it right. And so I love this idea that you talk about with teams, but I think that it also goes into business when you talk about the idea of avoiding shortcuts, right? And really building that foundation. And so tell me a little bit more about that. You've talked about avoiding shortcuts. Just elaborate on that philosophy and then how it really impacts that long-term success that we're all looking for.
Well, first of all, what's your son's name?
Jordan.
Well, first of all, great name for basketball. Secondly, Jordan, listen to your mother. That's great advice. Stop showboating. You're
Yes,
hearing it
no
from a former
showboating.
professional basketball player. So listen to mom. She's right. But if you go back and study and watch guys like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant,
Mhm.
yes, the things that they're able to do are incredible. They do things that no one else could do or probably ever will be able to do, but they were very focused on the fundamentals. So I had a referee from the 2012 Olympics who
Mhm.
watched Kobe Bryant in practice, and there was a day that he was missing shots or whatever, and
Mhm.
he said, I'm going to make 300 shots from this one spot before I leave the gym. So the
Yep.
whole team had to stay until Kobe was done
Uh,
making 300 shots from one spot on the left side of the court. And
mhm.
so the point of that is they were masters of the fundamentals, their footwork,
Mhm.
the way they dribble the ball, the way they play defense, all the fundamentals are there. And once you have that strong foundation, then you're able to just build on top of that for that 1 to 2% that no one else could do. And the same thing applies in business. So you get an idea as an entrepreneur, oh, I want to go build this technology. And you get so focused on the top of building the penthouse suite, and you haven't even laid down the foundation. You don't have a proper financial model. You don't have a business plan, a go-to-market strategy. You don't understand how your product fits in the market and what problems you're solving. So you start building the top of the building before you have that foundation. And we all know what happens there is it eventually at some point will collapse, and it's either going to put you out of business or cost you millions of dollars when you go to exit the business.
Yeah. So obviously, not having a strong foundation is a huge problem. And so, as we're thinking about the practicality of this and the advice that you could give us, so what is the advice that you could give aspiring entrepreneurs if they're just starting out, they're starting their business, and especially as it relates to those terms of building a strong foundation? What are the things that we need to do to make sure that foundation is built before we start showboating?
Well, it's tough to, you have to start. The first
Mhm,
thing you do is you take action, and that action is going to give you feedback on what decisions you need to make, because
mhm,
having been there before, at the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. So what small steps can you take forward that'll give you feedback, and then you can adjust accordingly, read and react, and then continue to make better decisions down the road. But they have to
mhm.
understand that everything has a cost, and you're either going to pay with your time or money.
Money. Mhm,
And hiring expert advice, a business coach, business advisor, it may be some investment up front, but they will give you the blueprints on how to build that foundation and make
mhm.
sure your business is positioned for success. And I know it's tough, right? You're just starting the business, you may not have a lot of money, but you're going to pay for it in some way, shape, or form. It's
Absolutely.
time, it's lost opportunity. So hiring a business advisor can help you shortcut some of that process or accelerate that process. And the second thing is, I tell my sons, I have 4 boys, 3 teenagers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, I say other things at times, but uh, I tell them, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you are.
Yep,
And so if
yep.
you're able to get around successful people that are where you want to be, they are going to inspire you, show you the path and how they got there, and give you an objective view on your business and you as an entrepreneur that you're oftentimes blind to see. It's tough to see your own deficiencies, and entrepreneurs are very type A, and they think
Mhm.
they're always right, and they're not. So you need someone
Yeah,
that's going to tell you what you need to hear.
yeah. Well, first, kudos to you to have for having 3 teenage boys. Are all 3 teenagers? You said 3 boys?
I have 4 boys,
4
3 of them
boys,
are
3 are teenagers. Okay.
yep, so they're 17, 15, 14, and 10.
Whew, okay. So I have a almost 17-year-old daughter, not a boy, and then the 7-year-old boy. And so
Okay.
I can completely understand about teenagers, but I cannot imagine having 3 at one time. So
Right.
that's a business in itself, right?
It is.
You're right. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what when we're talking about this advice and the different things that we want to do, having that coach, you said, is the first thing. So I just want to reiterate the points that you just said. So having the coach and then getting around people that have that entrepreneurial mindset, who are trying to move forward, not your friends who don't understand business, who always have wanted to just work a job, go in and leave, and not actually own a business or be a CEO or run things. Those people are not always the best people to give advice. In fact, they're not the best people to give advice because they haven't done what you're trying to do, right? And
Right.
so making sure that we get around the right people, have the right coaching, and have the right support system, so that we are able to move forward. So I think that that is wonderful, wonderful advice. Um, so we were just talking about our children. So this is something that is really, really important for the women in the inclusive networker community, and that is balance. And so you talk about family and business and all of the different demands that we all have. And it's really good to hear somebody else say, this is tough, but this is how I do it. And so, how do you balance all of this? You've got the demands of entrepreneurship, your other roles, responsibilities. You are a senior executive, you have a team, team co-owner, all of these different things. And so, tell us a little bit about your advice on balance and how you kind of bring that into fruition.
Well, I'm afraid to give women any advice. No, I'm kidding. So
Yeah,
this is
we'll put that
yeah.
disclaimer
So
on this.
just in general, uh, it's come over time. Like when
Yeah.
I've been married for 20 years. And so I've just learned, and my wife and I have grown in this, which is after I've just had different seasons in life. Like, okay, with my
Mhm.
first business, I'm just grinding. I'm working 24/7. We didn't have kids at the time. So it was just, that constant grind, and I could just focus on the business. As life changes, as you get married, it's really about, and what I coach entrepreneurs again is it's communicating. If you are married, and or just understanding yourself, again,
Mhm.
back to seasons. What season am I in? And
Mhm.
is it the right time for me to build a business? Because when you are an entrepreneur, there is no work life balance. It's
Yeah.
24/7. That's just what it is, to start a business, and that's what it takes. And what I've been able to do is just communicate with my wife and my family, like, hey, I'm in build mode. So the time that I
Good.
spend with you will be quality, but the quantity during that time will go down.
Mm.
And it's again just come through failing a lot of times in that communication, to now having that self awareness to say, okay,
Mhm.
this is the mode we're in, this is the season we're in, and making sure the time that I do spend with them is quality, if the quantity is going down.
Yeah, that's really good advice, and I think that that's important for all of us, especially as new entrepreneurs. As you have gotten into the process and you might be making more money, the family might understand, but a little bit more. But in that very beginning, a lot of times there's not a lot of proof that this thing is going to work. Everybody's stepping out on faith. We are trying to just figure out how we're going to all make it happen. And I think that communication piece is so, so good. And it's such an important part of what we need to do to succeed as an entrepreneur and to continue to have that family support.
Yeah, and what you just said, the faith part, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's one area I never compromise in, because
Yeah.
that is my foundation, is my faith in God, and knowing that He
Hmm.
has great plans for me, and He will fulfill those plans,
Yeah.
regardless of what failures I may have. He will always fill the gap for me. So that's been a constant area that I don't compromise in, and it makes me a better leader as a business. It makes me
Hmm.
a better father, better husband. So I make sure that that is the first part of my foundation in anything I do.
Yeah, and I think that we don't talk about that enough because we're always talking about the skills that we need as an entrepreneur. And I know that I was talking with Eric Thomas, who is a very famous motivational speaker. He was training us in a speaking program that I do, and he said it's really not your skill set; it's how your soul set. Right? He
Mm.
said this is why I made it so much further than a lot of people because I did the soul work, not just the skill work. Kane, she talks about the fact that if you are into the light and you are getting all of this recognition and you haven't done what you needed to do, then the light will crush you. And
Mhm.
so I think that that is so important for us to bring out to entrepreneurs that you can do as much skill work as you want. Everybody can kind of have that same thing, but what really sets you apart is that faith work, that soul work that you have been doing, and that is the true game changer. And so I think that's such an important point to bring out.
Absolutely. I'm a big Eric Thomas fan also.
Mhm.
Love listening to him. And he talks about wanting to succeed more than you want to breathe.
Breathe,
So,
yeah.
so any volunteers to become an entrepreneur, that's what it takes. So
That's what it takes, right? And that's tough, right? And when you really think about that, because it sounds cute and all of that, but when you think about the concept of not being able to breathe and having to push past that, that is it's deep. It really is deep. And so yes. So faith, family, all of that is so important as we're building our lives as entrepreneurs. And so I want to go back to one thing, and I think this is really important to the inclusive networker community. When you were talking about avoiding shortcuts, I want to talk about that a little bit more. I want to dig deep on that for just a minute because I think that as we are building our business, a lot of people don't realize they're taking shortcuts sometimes. They just try to jump up to the top. They're not willing to invest. They want people to invest in them, but they're not willing to invest. And so let's talk about what are some of the shortcuts that you normally see as individuals are building their businesses, and then how do we avoid those particular things? So you can, give us 3, 4, however many you want.
uh, well, the easiest example that everyone can understand is health and fitness, right? And comparing it to that, like first you see how to get great abs in 10 minutes, and then someone comes out with how to get great abs in 7 minutes, and then it's 6 minutes. So it's human nature, it's American culture to try to find the path of least resistance. And what I tell entrepreneurs that without a struggle, there's no growth. That's how you make gains in the gym. You go there to break down muscle, you tear the muscle, go rest, recover, and the muscles continue to grow. It's the same thing in business. Doing the difficult things are what's going to create the growth in your business. And it's just a mindset of translating struggle equals growth. And to the degree of what you want to accomplish, that's the amount of resistance that you're going to go through the process. So it's really a mindset thing is the shortcut that I see most people make is they're looking for that quick fix. I need 1 million followers on Instagram. I want to get 100,000 views on YouTube. Well, there isn't a shortcut to that. You have to be consistent and understand the compound effect. And Albert Einstein viewed the compound effect as the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it collects it, and he who doesn't pays it. So every decision you make is building into the future self of you. And so what I will run entrepreneurs through is what's called an investment in and cost to analysis. And every dollar that you're spending, is this an investment in the future of my business, or is it a cost to the future of my business? And there are things that just cost. It's part of running a business, but having that awareness, am I investing in the future of my business with this decision and with this investment? So the shortcuts I see are trying to build a brand on social media. Like that's number one. People are always looking for a gimmick. Number 2 is lead generation. So if you're a coach or an advisor, I'll fill your calendar with 30 appointments a week and all these different lead gimmicks out there. So just use your brain and think. If someone had a way to 10x your business in 6 months, they wouldn't tell anybody. They would just do it in their own business.
Yeah. So the idea of patience and consistency, right?
Yep.
I was listening to John Maxwell, and he talked about this idea of bruised trees. And he said that, you can think about bruised trees or all the trees out in your backyard. And you have an axe and you go and you hit a tree. And then you move to the next tree and you go and hit that tree. And you keep moving to the next tree and you hit that tree. And eventually you turn around and you look in your yard and all you have is a bunch of bruised trees. You never knocked anything down because you didn't stick with it long enough. You weren't consistent enough to actually be able to make a change and to do something that was meaningful. And so I think about that analogy all the time in how we are as entrepreneurs, that oftentimes we have so many bruised trees. We just hit at something for a minute. We hear the next shiny object, the next gimmick, and then we go hit at that. And we're just not consistent enough with the really simple things. I mean, the what it takes to build a business or to generate leads is really not hard. It just takes time and it takes consistency and it takes making sure that you have the system set up properly. And so I think that's such a good point that you're making is that we hop from gimmick to gimmick, and we just got to be consistent, and we have to talk to somebody, going back to your earlier point, talk to somebody who knows what they're doing to avoid the issues of, oh, let's try this, let's try that, let's do this. And so such a good point there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the last thing I want you to do is just kind of tell us about a specific business principle or strategy. So what is it that is crucial for any entrepreneur? It doesn't matter their industry, their niche. What is it that is a great business strategy or principle that you can leave us with today?
A great business principle is finding people that are where you want to be. It really is just learning from those that have gone before you is the fastest path to success. So there really isn't a, hey, do this first thing when you start a business, or here's the 5 things you need to do, because every entrepreneur, every product is different. I encourage people to, the best investment you can make is in yourself. It's one that will return for the rest of your life. And part of investing in yourself is educating yourself and then getting advice from other people. Wisdom is found in the counsel of many. And so surrounding yourself with people that care about you as an entrepreneur, because you can't pour from an empty cup and you have to fill yourself up in order to be able to lead other people. That's the best form of leadership, is self-leadership. And that will inspire those around you. So listening to podcasts like yours, your audience is benefiting greatly from what you're doing. So congratulations on that. I'm sure they're being inspired by it. And there's so much free information available, podcasts, YouTubes, Audible books, but then also just having a real human that is has some intuition, compassion, and objective thinking is just a great starting place. Join a community of entrepreneurs is some of the best time you can spend, because you realize you're not alone. Your struggles aren't unique to you. They're things that every entrepreneur goes through, and that will give you the confidence and inspiration. And successful people have the ability to transfer their energy and success into you. It builds your confidence, your passion. And when you're down on yourself, understanding that I've been broke, I slept on the floor of my boss's apartment, I had my heat turned off. I've been there. I've been the sleepless nights trying to come up with 50 grand for payroll. I've watched my stock price drop from $20 to $10 in a day. I've lived every imaginable thing an entrepreneur can go through. And it's in those times I find inspiration hearing from others that they've gone through the same thing.
Yes, that is so good. And so, Adam, thank you for pouring into the Inclusive Networker community. This has been absolutely amazing. So many great gems that you have given us today. And so I know that they are going to want to stay in touch with you. So tell us about, what's your next big project? How do we stay in touch with you after this podcast is over?
Well, first of all, you can see behind me, I have my own podcast called The House of Bricks, and we teach entrepreneurs how to use every experience like a brick to build a strong foundation. So you can find me on Apple, Spotify, The House of Bricks podcast, Adam House, and we feature NBA athletes, Super Bowl champions, NBA champions, top CEOs, keynote speakers. So really a great list of guests, and encourage people to keep listening to your podcast as well. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Adam House. I do weekly live events talking about business. So some of the questions you had for me, we go into detail, practical steps, step by step of how to get your foundation built in your business. And you can also go to my website, Adam House Senior, so adamhousesr.com, and find out more information there. But LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me and get more business information, practical advice on how to grow and scale your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you. You have been an amazing guest, Adam. And thank you all for listening to this episode of the Inclusive Networker podcast. You can find Adam's information in the show notes, and we will see you on the next episode of the Inclusive Networker. See ya.
Thanks for having me.